be doing something a little bit different than what I usually do. If you guys know me, then you've seen my channel before, then you know my content is usually just gameplay or just talking about new cozy games. But today I want to switch it up because it is fall time. Fall is approaching us. Depending on where you stay, probably already basically started for you. But you know what comes with fall? It's Halloween. And what better way to sit down and enjoy a nice cozy day or cozy night of Halloween time than to read a good thriller book. So in this video I will be talking about thriller books that I have read and some of those that I have not read yet. So this is my lineup. So the ones I have not read yet, definitely know that I will be reading them soon. These are some thriller books to get into this Halloween. This is the first book I'm going to be talking about, and this book is called The Haunting. Now this book is so good. This is one of the first books I actually read that's thriller, and this book was really good. In this story, we know she must forget about her ex, Nash, ever since his father was revealed as the brutal serial killer who traumatized their small town last Halloween. Penny's parents have forbidden her to have anything to do with Nash or his family. It's hard not to think of him, but she's trying. That stops when she goes shopping with friends for a costume. What she finds instead is ripped from a horror movie. Someone from school bleeding out on the floor in the dressing room, stabbed. People are quick to blame Nash and his sister Grace, but as Halloween nears and the body count rises, Penny can't help but think this copycat killer is someone no one else suspects. When I say, okay, if you don't mind people who are like getting killed in your books, this is a book that like you should definitely read. This one had a lot going on in it, I promise. And while I was reading this, I was at the edge of my seat trying to guess who was the killer in this, because obviously, like when I just read the back to you, you want to just assume that's probably, Nash, but I'm not gonna spoil it. So it's easy to try and like assume, but I promise each time that I was trying to guess who might be the killer in this book, I was completely wrong. And it turned out in the end to be the person I was least expecting. So if you're liking any type of thriller like that, or anything that's like also like a little bit of a murder mystery, I definitely suggest reading this book and checking it out. So I'm gonna rank all these books out of 5 stars. In this book, I'll be honest, I had to give it like probably like a 4.5, maybe 4 stars. This is definitely really a good book though. So if you haven't read this book, I definitely suggest you check it out. So this next book I want to talk about is a book that I haven't read just yet, but it is on my next to read list. And this book is called The Collector and the Collected. I'm not quite sure what made me like want to read this one, but this is one that I'm really interested in reading. But each time that I'm going to read it, I like put it off and I'm like, I'm gonna read something else instead, and I read something else instead. But this book is now the one that I'm going to read next. But this book, Josie always like visiting her grandmother's house, but when she's forced to move there, she starts to feel like something's a little off. Her grandmother has some very strange rules. Rule number 1, never leave her windows open after dark. Number 2 is no dolls in the house. And number 3 is never ever go in the house by the woods. A little spooked, Josie is relieved to find that her school seems pretty normal. She even manages to make friends with a popular girl named Vanessa. When Vanessa invites Josie back to her house to hang out, Josie doesn't question it. Now when Vanessa takes her into the woods and down into Old Dirt Road towards the very house her grandmother had warned her about, the house that had been calling for her. It says, Anna has never been like other kids. Things that should never come alive seem to come alive with her presence, like dolls. And other times it feels like she's able to bring things to life that would ever be left dead. When Anna and her family must return to her grandmother's spooky house, Anna's sister Josie is terrified. Josie never talks about what happened to her there, so Anna has grown up not knowing about the evil that waits for her in the woods. The closer the evil gets, the stronger Anna's frightening power grows. Can she control it, or will it control her? Like, tell me that doesn't sound so good. This is definitely, I don't know. Have you ever played like those games on TikTok where you have to like remember the rules and then you have to go through and like complete like the TikTok, but you have to remember the rules of like which answer, and depending on which answer you do, you know, if you know the TikTok, then you know. But for some reason, I think it's because it has like the 3 rules in here, and you have to basically like just survive and listen to the rules, do as you're told. I don't know why, but this is giving me like those vibes. And this book, I am so excited to read it. The reason why I put everything else in front is because either I get something else that seems a little bit more spookier, or because it's something more smaller. I don't know about you guys, but like thicker books like this, like it deters me a little bit, only because I'll see a book that's smaller, like The Haunting, for example, and I'm like, I could finish this book a lot faster. So like, let me read this first instead. But like, if you can see the difference, it's like definitely a difference. So this is The Haunting, which this one, because it's so good, you read it so fast, to be honest. But I'm kind of thinking it's gonna be the same. But I also like reading stuff that I can finish a lot faster. That's kind of my problem. But this is definitely one of my top readings that I want to do. So if you have read this book, definitely let me know in the comment section below if this is actually worth reading, or if it's not. But this is definitely a book that I'm extremely looking forward to reading. This next book, I have not read this one either. This one's definitely on my read list. This one was gonna be my next one, but because I kept skipping the book collected, I just want to read this. I just want to read that book finally. But this is the book that I am so excited to read, and this is called The Silent Patient. This book, when I read it, I got this at the same time as another book. I was online doing Target orders, and I happened to see them, so I picked them up. But I am so intrigued on this book, and what makes it worse is I was scrolling on TikTok, and someone literally started talking about this book, and everybody in the comments was like raving about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and I like pause it so fast, and I'm like, make sure I don't read comments to not get any spoilers. But people are saying that like it's like, I guess it's like a mix up between can you predict this book or not. But even if you can't predict it, and if it's a good book, I'm gonna read a good book, you know. So it doesn't even bother me if I predict it. If anything, I'm like happy that I predicted something. So in this book, Alicia Baronson's life is seemingly perfect until one night when her husband Gabriel returns home late from work, and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and never speaks another word. Alicia's refusal to talk or give any kind of explanation turns the domestic tragedy into a mystery that captivates the public imagination. And she, the silent patient, is hidden away from the tabloids at the Grove, a secure psychiatric unit in North London. Criminal psychotherapist Theo is captivated by Alicia's story and jumps at the opportunity to work with her. His determination to get her to talk and unravel the mystery of why she shot her husband will take him down the path more unexpected, more terrifying than he ever imagined. This is giving me like another like murder mystery vibes, and I love a good murder mystery because, like I said, I like trying to guess it myself. So if I guess it right, I am happy. And I feel like you can't really guess something like this, but maybe you can as you're reading. But this book, I'm so excited to read. Um, I want to read this one so bad. I feel like this book is really good. But if you have read this book, definitely let me know in the comment section below what you thought of it. Definitely, even if you tell me it's not worth it, I'm gonna still read it. I'm gonna be honest, because the fact that I saw a random TikTok about this book, just on this book solo, tells me all I need to know. So this is definitely another thriller book that I'm looking forward to reading this Halloween. This is the last like thriller book that I just read. This one's called The Quiet Tenant. Now, guys, when I tell you this book had me on the chokehold, this book is so amazing, hands down. This is one of the best thriller books that I think I've ever read. It's just so good and so suspenseful, in my opinion. But it's more of a suspense type of book more than like a thriller, like killing type of book. They do touch on it just a little bit, but not so much to where it's like going in great detail about it. It's more so like a brush overview of like the victim. So it'd probably be like a chapter or two of just about one of the victims that he may have killed. Um, this book, okay, when I first started this book, it was my goal to read it like 100 page a day because like 300 and something pages. So I was like, if I could read about 300, well, 100 a day, I could finish it in about a few days, which was my goal, but it didn't happen. But because I didn't even reach my goal, I was ended up trying to read like at least like 50 pages, try to finish it off. But instead, I ended up binge reading the entire rest of the book. That's how good this book really is. In this book, Ed Thomas is a recent widower raising his 13-year-old child Cecilia, who is a beloved figure in his small upstate New York town, the kind of neighbor who always lends a hand and has a good word for everyone. Aiden also has a dark secret. He's a kidnapper and a serial killer. He's murdered 8 women, and there's a ninth marked for death, Rachel. Imprisoned for 5 years in the backyard shed, when he and Cecilia have to move, Aiden has no choice but to bring Rachel along, introducing her to Cecilia as a family friend who needs a place to stay. Aiden is betting that Rachel will be too brainwashed and fearful to attempt an escape, but Rachel is a fighter, and she sees in Cecilia the lifeline she's waiting for all these years. And then Emily, the local restaurant owner, newly interested in Aiden, either an ally or his next victim. Both a searing thriller and a study of trauma, survival, and the dynamics of power. This book is so suspenseful, like I said, like you can tell like he's basically living a double life. Like 1 minute he seems like, because it's a small town, and 1 minute he's like the perfect like next door neighbor, like everything about his family's perfect, everybody likes them, everybody knows them. He's super friendly, he's super helpful. He's that type of neighbor, the ones that you just trust. And I think it doesn't help because I'm pretty sure in the book he's not even like unattractive, so he's also an attractive young man. So everybody just really likes him. But he has like the dark side of him where he would like go out and he would go out and kill people. And he gets this one person named Rachel and he brings her, but instead of killing her like he does with everybody else, he decides to keep her and she's locked away in a separate like on his land, but like off from the house in like a shed. He used to keep her in there cuffed, and he just has her there for like years. And one day his wife passes away, and basically he has to leave. I'm not gonna say why he has to leave this house, but he has to leave his house, and he has to bring his daughter Cecilia with him. And of course, he realized that it meant two things: either he just has to kill Rachel, which he really doesn't want to, or he just has to bring her with, and he decides to bring her along to the new house and makes it seem like Rachel is just a family friend to introduce Cecilia, which is his daughter, to. Um, so yeah, so she goes from being in the shed to basically like moving along with him, and he's just hoping that because she's been with him for so long that she won't try to escape, she won't try to do anything wrong, she'll just completely listen and do as she is told. So that is what the premise of this book is about. This book is so good. This is definitely my favorite book to read. So out of 5 stars, I would definitely have to give this one a 5 out of 5. It is also a pretty quick pace. The only thing I would have to say is, depending on your style of reading, it took me a second to understand the perspective that this book was in because the way it was worded seemed it wasn't like I necessarily. I don't know, I can't really explain it, but the chapters do help you to like know whose point of view that you're reading because instead of the chapters being like just some random name, it's the person's perspective. So because she's living in a shed in the beginning, it'll be like the woman in the shed so that you know that that's who you're reading. That's the only thing that took me a while to get like used to was the perspective and how to like actually read this book. This next book is I feel like probably one of the most popular books if you like this type of thing. It's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I have read one of the other books, which I will be talking about in this video, but this is one that I tried to read before, and then I checked out the library and I tried to read it, but I didn't finish it because I wasn't feeling very motivated to finish the book. But if you haven't seen, there is a show that is out now on Netflix, and it's called A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, based off the books, and the show is so good. If you haven't seen the show, I just want to say, watch the show. It's like I think it's like 6 episodes, so it's not nothing long, but it's something that is so good. So I'm gonna throw that out there. If you like the books, watch the show if you haven't yet. When I watched the show, it made me be like, okay, if the book inspired the TV show, the book has to be good, you know? So I went out, Target had, I forget what kind of deal they had going on in their books. So when they had it, I basically got this book for free. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this book another go because I know I tried to read the first time. I watched the show, fell in love. So I'm gonna read the book again. So here I am with the book again. Haven't even read it yet. But this book is a pretty popular high school senior, Andy Bell, was murdered by her boyfriend Sal, who then killed himself. It was all anyone could talk about. After 5 years later, Pip sees how the tragedy still haunts her town. Now a senior herself, Pip decides to re-examine the closed case for a final project, at first just to cast doubt on the original investigation. But soon she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal innocent, and the line between past and present begins to blur. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life might be in danger. Is this book the exact same? Okay, if you've seen the show, is the book the exact same thing? Like everything the exact same thing? It ends the exact same way? Because if it is, I will be honest, I might not read the book. Okay. Because I know exactly what happens. If it's the exact same thing, I don't want to read it because I've already watched it and I already know what happens and I already know like who did what and like behind the whole thing, you know? I don't want to read the book if I already know what happens. So if you have seen it and you also have read the book, definitely let me know if this is actually still worth reading or if they like change it up or it's like covered differently. Do let me know, please, because I really do want to like this book. So I feel like this is kind of a book that I would read, but I'm just now hesitant after watching it already on if it would be the exact same thing. There would be like no difference. I will say the show, 10 out of 10. I loved it. I kept trying to guess. I couldn't guess. Maybe I'm just bad at guessing though. I don't know. The next book that I will be talking about in this video is called The Butcher and the Wren. Now this book, I don't know why, but it took me forever to understand why it was called The Butcher and the Wren because I thought the wren was connected to like the butcher. But then I got like midway into the book and I said, oh, it's called the Wren because Detective Wren. And I was like, how am I reading this book? And I don't even make the connection that it's called The Butcher and the Wren because it's the butcher and Detective Wren. I just want to throw that out there. Don't know why, but it was something that had me like so confused the entire time I was reading. In Louisiana Bayou, a methodical serial killer is hard at work completing his most harrowing crime yet, but forensic pathologist Dr. Van Mueller is the best there is. Armed with encyclopedic knowledge of historical crimes and years of experience working in the medical examiner's office, she's never encountered a case she couldn't solve until now. Case after case is piling up around the examination table, and soon she is sucked into an all-consuming competition with the brutal murderer, getting more brazen by the day. An addictive read was straight from the morgue details only an autopsy technician could provide. The Butcher and the Ram promises to ensnare all who enter. This book, I hate the way it feels. It has like this weird, like grainy texture. Oh my gosh, so I hate like holding this book. This book, you guys, this book is so good. And it's so good from the butcher's perspective that I almost only wanted to read his perspective, but I knew whenever books are set like this that you have to read the detective side, like you have to see what's going on because usually they meet in the middle at some point. So I wanted to see like where the detective was at the same time, and the detective's chapters are more longer than the butcher's chapters most of the book. So I do want to say that as well, but reading it from his perspective was amazing because that's what I wish happened in The Quiet Tenant. I wish that it went in his perspective more because it seemed like he had a lot going on in his head. The killer of this book, it seemed like he had a lot going on in his head, but you wouldn't know because it's just mainly like other people saying what they think. But I really wish that they show his perspective in that book. This book, they do it. They show him. They like talk about him like when he's getting ready for the day, like what he's doing to his victims. This book is so amazing. Like before I even get to the end talking about this one is definitely a 5 out of 5 rating. I love the pace of this book as well. And I like that. Like for the butcher, it talked about like his mindset and his thinking. It talked about like what led to him doing what he's doing. It talked about every single thing in his thoughts and like what he was doing to his victims, like I mentioned already. And then obviously for the detective, it mentions how she's like going out getting these calls, getting these leads or anything like that. And it also talks about her like when she's not working. It's definitely a really good book. I just really liked his side more, so I wish that they showed a little bit more of that because I felt like concentrating on his part more definitely would have gave like an eye opener into his world. But this book, absolutely loved it. This is definitely one of the best books I read. So if you're okay with like a little bit of, I don't want to say, it definitely gives like the killer's POV. So if you're okay with reading that stuff, it doesn't get too graphic or anything like that. Like, no, I don't want it too graphic. It's like a overview of what he's doing. So if you're okay with reading that, this is definitely a book that I would definitely recommend you reading this Halloween. The last book that I'll be talking about in this video is one of the first books that I read, and this book is called Five Survive. So, like I said, The Good Girl's Guide to Murder, there is another book that goes with it, and it's called, well, it's by the same person, Five Survive. This book says 8 hours, 6 friends, 5 survive. Red Kitty's on a road trip for spring break with 5 friends, her best friend and her older brother, his perfect girlfriend, a friend from school, and the guy Red wishes was more than a friend. But they won't make it to the destination. When the RV breaks down in the middle of nowhere with no cell service, they soon realize this is no accident. They have been trapped by someone out there in the dark, someone who clearly wants them dead. With 8 hours until dawn, the 6 friends must escape or figure out which of them is the target. Best there a liar among them. Buried secrets will be forced to light, and tensions inside the RV will reach deadly levels. Not all of them will survive the night. This book is so good. So, like it says, like it's like a group of young friends. They going out to take a trip to meet. I forgot who it was. They like meet like a whole bunch of people. I think from the school, and they decide to take an RV instead. And they go separate. And along the way, they get off the road. They nearly get off the road, and they find themselves lost in the middle of the night, no cell service, and at first everything's all cool. They're just trying to fix the RV because I think like a tire blew or something, but they're just trying to fix the RV, and I know where they start getting sniped by somebody. They don't know who it is. They can't see anything. They just know someone is trying to kill them, and that's it. And they're trying to stay in the RV, and they're trying to figure out what's going on or like what could be happening. And after throughout the book, they start getting little clues or just like little notes being like, this is what I want. They eventually do also get a walkie-talkie from the person. They also start trying to come up with their own like ideas or methods to try to escape or how to like one up the person who is sniping them. I can't say whether those fail or not on their attempts, but you just have to read the book to find out. But they end up having a whole bunch of different ideas throughout the book to try and get themselves free or like trying to figure out different plans that they can do. This book is so good. This is a book at the very end. When I got to the very end, everything started picking up like fast, almost so fast where I'll have to go back and reread a little, like a paragraph before, because I'm like, wait, what? Like, this is who died? Like it picked up so fast. That's the only thing. Like, I like the book. Everything else is like more slow movement, just because all this is taking place overnight. So of course the book is gonna move so fast, because it's all happening in one night. But the end picks up so fast that it's really good. But I just had to keep going back to reread it because I felt like I was missing stuff because I would read and I'm like, wait, what? I didn't see that. And I have to go back and like look it over again. But this book is a really good book to read. This is one that if you never read the book or there's any like killing or anything like that, this is one of those that I would definitely recommend that you probably will want to start on just to see if you actually like that, because it doesn't happen until the very end. So everything else is just like a normal everyday type of book, but there is a little bit of a suspense to the book as well. This book has, in my opinion, some like plot twists, especially at the end, because as the book goes, the one that's sniping them wants them to uncover like basically like to unleash their secret, and they don't know whose secret that they're wanting or like what person they're after. They just know, like they just get like vague responses. So they're all like uncovering their secrets. There's a lot that comes out. There's a lot of fighting in this book, not physically, obviously, but like a lot of arguing because they're trapped in the RV and they just know they have someone trying to shoot them. They don't know who's the problem or who they're targeting. So like situations arise where they're picking like, okay, like so can like risk it, like risk their lives and they just don't care. So like it turns into like a lot of heated arguments in this book as well. Just because some of them kind of want to be a little bit more on the selfish side. But because someone wants to be so selfish, it really made me think it was them. But I'm pretty sure I ended up being wrong on who I had guessed in this book or who was like leading all of this in this book. But this is definitely a really good book. A lot of plots, like a lot of plot twists, a lot of things like that. It's definitely like one of those books that's actually like a cozy, suspenseful thriller book, if you know what I'm trying to say. Now this book, I would definitely give it like 3 stars out of 5, only because, like I said, it is more on the slower end, but I also understand why it's on the slower end. But this book is definitely a really good read. And those are all the books I will be talking about in this video. If you have read any of these books, definitely let me know in the comment section below on which one you have and what you thought of it. If there are any other books that you think I should read, also let me know down in the comment section below that you think would be perfect for this Halloween. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.